The Vancouver rain drummed against the windows of the harbor room, its steady rhythm a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding inside. Maya Carter's hands trembled as she balanced the tray of drinks, navigating between tables while trying to maintain her composure. She couldn't afford to lose this job, not with Emma waiting at home, probably already finished with her homework and wondering when her big sister would return. "Excuse me." A cold voice cut through the ambient chatter. "I believe I ordered this 10 minutes ago." Maya turned to face the speaker, a man whose presence seemed to command attention even while seated. Nathaniel Cole, though she didn't know his name yet, sat alone at a corner table, his custom-tailored suit and perfectly styled dark hair marking him as someone accustomed to the finer things in life. His steel-gray eyes fixed on her with the kind of disdain reserved for insects. "I apologize for the delay, sir," Maya said, forcing a smile. "The kitchen is a bit backed up due to the weather, but I'll check on your order right away." "Backed up?" Nathaniel's voice carried across the restaurant, drawing unwanted attention. "I've watched you chat with other customers while my order sits forgotten. Does incompetence run in your family, or is it a personal trait?" The words hit like physical blows. Maya's chest tightened, but she maintained her professional mask. 9 years of raising Emma had taught her that sometimes survival meant swallowing your pride. "Your order will be ready shortly, sir. Would you like to speak with a manager?" Nathaniel's laugh was sharp and humorless. "A manager? So they can tell me the same excuses? No, I think I've wasted enough time here." He stood, towering over her. "I have a multi-million-dollar deal closing tomorrow, and instead of preparing, I'm standing here arguing with someone who can't even handle a simple dinner service." Maya watched him throw several bills on the table, far more than necessary, but the gesture felt deliberately insulting. As he strode toward the exit, she noticed other diners averting their eyes, some whispering behind their hands. The shame burned hot on her cheeks. In the kitchen, her co-worker Lily touched her arm. "Hey, you okay? That guy was a total jerk." "I'm fine," Maya said automatically, the same way she assured Emma everything was all right when their power got cut off last winter. Just another entitled customer, right? But as she finished her shift, the interaction gnawed at her. She'd faced difficult customers before, but something about this man's casual cruelty felt different. Maybe it was because she was already exhausted from pulling double shifts all week, or maybe it was because his words had hit too close to her deepest insecurities about providing for Emma. The rain had intensified by the time Maya left work, the streets of Vancouver slick and gleaming under the streetlights. She pulled her worn jacket tighter, grateful that at least Mrs. Chen from next door had agreed to stay late with Emma. The thought of her sister waiting at home, probably curled up with her favorite book, gave Maya the energy to quicken her pace. 3 blocks from the restaurant, her phone buzzed. It was Mrs. Chen checking if Maya was on her way. She ducked under a store awning to reply, her fingers cold as she typed. That's when she heard it, the screech of tires followed by a sickening crash. Maya's head snapped up. Through the curtain of rain, she could make out the taillights of cars swerving around something on the road ahead. Without thinking, she ran toward the sound. A sleek black car had veered off the road, its front end wrapped around a massive oak tree. Steam rose from the crumpled hood, mixing with the rain to create an eerie fog. Other vehicles slowed as they passed, but no one stopped. "Hello," Maya called out, approaching the driver's side. "Can you hear me?" The window was shattered, and through it she could see a man slumped over the steering wheel. Blood trickled from a gash on his forehead. With trembling fingers, Maya dialed 911. "There's been an accident," she reported, trying to keep her voice steady. "On Morton Street near Westbrook Mall. The driver's unconscious and there's blood." While waiting for the ambulance, Maya shrugged off her jacket and held it over the broken window, trying to keep the rain from pouring in. She kept talking to the unconscious man, the way she'd talked to Emma during thunderstorms. "Help is coming," she assured him. "Just hold on." It wasn't until the ambulance arrived, its lights painting the rain red and blue, that Maya got a clear look at the driver's face. Her stomach dropped as recognition hit her. It was him, the man from the restaurant. The paramedics worked, quickly asking Maya questions she answered on autopilot, When they loaded him into the ambulance, one of them turned to her. "Are you family?" Maya hesitated. She should say no, should let them take this cruel stranger away and return to her own life, to Emma. But something, maybe the same instinct that made her stop in the first place, made her shake her head. I witnessed the accident," she said. "I can ride with him, help with identification if needed." As the ambulance doors closed behind her, Maya sent a quick text to Mrs. Chen, asking for one more hour. She told herself she was doing this because it was the right thing to do, because everyone deserved help in their darkest moments. But as she watched the paramedics work, saw how vulnerable the arrogant man from the restaurant looked on the stretcher, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that this night would change everything. She just didn't know how much. The ambulance wailed through the rain-slicked streets, carrying them both toward a future neither could have imagined just hours before. Outside, Vancouver's lights blurred like stars falling through the storm, while inside, Maya Carter sat next to the unconscious form of Nathaniel Cole, unaware that fate had just tied their lives together in ways that would challenge everything they thought they knew about themselves and each other. The fluorescent lights of Vancouver General Hospital cast harsh shadows across the waiting room where Maya sat, her damp clothes still clinging uncomfortably to her skin. She'd been there for 3 hours, watching doctors hurry past and wondering why she hadn't just gone home to Emma. Mrs. Chen had texted twice more, each message adding to Maya's guilt. A doctor finally approached, his face bearing the weariness of a long night shift. "Are you here for John Doe from the Morton Street accident?" Maya nodded, standing. "How is he?" "He's stable, but..." The doctor consulted his clipboard. "He suffered a severe concussion and some internal bruising. We're particularly concerned about the head trauma. Has anyone been able to identify him?" Maya's throat tightened. This was her moment to walk away, to let someone else deal with the entitled businessman who had humiliated her. But the image of him unconscious in the rain wouldn't leave her mind. "His wallet wasn't in the car?" she asked instead. "Nothing. The police are running the vehicle registration, but with it being the weekend," the doctor shrugged. "Would you like to see him? Sometimes familiar faces can help in these situations." Familiar faces. Maya almost laughed at the irony. Following the doctor through sterile corridors, she tried to sort through her jumbled thoughts. The man had been cruel to her, yes, but did that justify abandoning him when he was vulnerable? What lesson would that teach Emma about compassion? The private room was quiet except for the steady beeping of monitors. Maya barely recognized Nathaniel lying there, his formerly impeccable appearance replaced by hospital scrubs and bandages. A nasty gash crossed his forehead, and bruises bloomed along his left side. "He should wake up soon," the doctor said. "Call the nurse when he does. We need to assess his cognitive function." Maya sank into the chair beside the bed, pulling out her phone to text Emma. She promised to make chocolate chip pancakes in the morning to make up for being late. As she hit send, a soft groan from the bed made her look up. Nathaniel's eyes fluttered open, confusion clouding his features as he took in his surroundings. His gaze finally settled on Maya, but there was no recognition there, no trace of the contempt from earlier. "Where?" His voice was hoarse. "What happened?" Maya pressed the call button before answering. "You were in a car accident. Do you remember anything about it?" He tried to sit up, wincing. "No, Everything's foggy. Was anyone else hurt?" "Just you. Your car hit a tree." The nurse arrived then, followed quickly by the doctor. Maya stepped back as they began their examination, asking Nathaniel routine questions. With each response, her stomach knotted tighter. "Can you tell us your name?" the doctor asked. Nathaniel's brow furrowed. I should know that." Fear crept into his voice. "Why can't I remember my name?" "Remain calm," the doctor advised. "Memory loss is common with head trauma. Do you remember what year it is? The president? Your occupation?" Each question was met with growing panic as Nathaniel shook his head. Maya watched his hands grip the sheets, his knuckles white. Gone was the commanding presence from the restaurant, replaced by something raw and frightened. "The police are working to identify you," the nurse assured him. "In the meantime, try to rest. This young lady found you after the accident. She can tell you more." All eyes turned to Maya. She felt the weight of Nathaniel's desperate gaze, seeking answers she wasn't sure she should give. "I was walking home when I saw the crash," she said carefully. "Called the ambulance and rode here with you." "Thank you," Nathaniel whispered, and the genuine gratitude in his voice made Maya's chest ache. "I don't know what I would have. I could have." "You should rest," she interrupted, unable to bear his vulnerability. "I should go. My sister's waiting." "Please." His hand moved as if to reach for her, then fell back. Would you stay? Just for a little while? I don't know who I am, and you're the only person who knows anything about me." Maya looked at the doctor, who nodded encouragingly. "Having someone familiar nearby can help prevent anxiety, which is crucial for recovery. We can arrange a cot if you'd like to stay overnight." The rational part of Maya's mind screamed at her to leave. This man had wounded her pride, had tried to make her feel small. But as she looked at him now, lost and afraid in the sterile hospital room, she saw something else, a chance to be the person she wanted Emma to become. "I'll need to make some calls," she said finally. "But I can stay for a while." Relief flooded Nathaniel's features. Maya stepped into the hallway to call Mrs. Chen, arranging for Emma to stay the night. When she returned, Nathaniel had drifted into an uneasy sleep. Maya settled into the chair, watching his chest rise and fall. In sleep, his face was peaceful, unmarked by either arrogance or fear. She thought about identity, how it was shaped by memories, choices, and the stories we tell ourselves. Who would this man be without his past? And who was she, choosing to help someone who had hurt her? Outside the window, dawn was breaking over Vancouver, painting the sky in shades of hope and uncertainty. Maya pulled her jacket tighter around herself and prepared for a long vigil, wondering if she was making the biggest mistake of her life or following her truest instincts. In his sleep, Nathaniel murmured something unintelligible, his hand twitching on the blanket. Maya found herself wondering what dreams visited a man who had lost himself, and whether the person who woke up would be someone entirely new. Morning arrived at Vancouver General with the steady stream of shift changes and breakfast carts. Maya awoke with a stiff neck from the hospital chair, momentarily disoriented by the unfamiliar surroundings. Her phone showed 3 messages from Mrs. Chen about Emma's breakfast and getting to school on time. "You stayed." Nathaniel's voice, softer than she'd ever heard it, drew her attention. He sat propped against his pillows, looking more alert than the night before. The morning light highlighted the bruising on his face, but his eyes were clearer, searching her face as if trying to piece together a puzzle. "I did," Maya replied, stretching. "How are you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck, or hit a tree, according to you." He attempted a smile that turned into a grimace. "Still can't remember anything, though. The doctors say it could be temporary." Before Maya could respond, a nurse entered with a tablet. "Good morning. The police sent over some information. They've identified you through the car registration." Maya's heart rate spiked. This was it, the moment his true identity would be revealed. She watched Nathaniel lean forward eagerly as the nurse continued. "Your name is Nathaniel Cole. You're 35 years old, and according to your license, you live in Seattle. We've been trying to contact your listed emergency contacts, but haven't had any success yet." Nathaniel mouthed his name silently, as if testing how it felt. "Nathaniel Cole," he repeated. It doesn't feel like me. Does that make sense?" The nurse smiled sympathetically. "Perfectly normal with retrograde amnesia. The important thing is to not force the memories. They often return gradually." After the nurse left, an uncomfortable silence filled the room. Maya watched Nathaniel process the information, wondering if any trace of his former self would surface. "Nathaniel," he said again, then looked at her. "Did you know? When you found me, did you know who I was? Maya's hands twisted in her lap. No, she said, the partial truth burning her throat. I just saw someone who needed help. He nodded slowly. Seattle. I must have people there wondering where I am. A family, maybe? A job? Frustration crept into his voice. It's like looking at a photograph of someone else's life. A knock at the door saved Maya from responding. Emma burst in, still wearing her backpack, with Mrs. Chen following apologetically behind. Maya. Emma ran to her sister, then stopped short at the sight of Nathaniel. Is this the person you helped? Emma, what are you doing here? Maya stood quickly. You should be at school. Mrs. Chen said you made a new friend who was hurt. Emma approached the bed cautiously. Does your head hurt? When I fell off my bike last year and hit my head, Maya made me ice cream for dinner. To Maya's surprise, Nathaniel's face softened as he looked at Emma. It does hurt a bit. I'm Nathaniel, apparently, though I just found that out myself. I had an accident and can't remember things very well. Emma's eyes widened. You forgot everything, like Dory from Finding Nemo? A genuine laugh escaped Nathaniel, followed by a wince. Something like that. Though I hope I'm not as forgetful as Dory. Maya watched their interaction with growing unease. This gentle, smiling man seemed worlds away from the one who had humiliated her at the restaurant. Was this his true self, uncovered when all his pretenses were stripped away? Or was it just another face that would vanish when his memories returned? Emma, we need to get you to school, Maya said firmly. Mrs. Chen, thank you for bringing her, but actually, Nathaniel interrupted, would you both stay? Just for a little while? The doctors want me to try familiar activities and, well, talking to you feels familiar somehow. The hopefulness in his voice made Maya's resolve waver. She looked at Emma, already pulling out her homework, and Mrs. Chen, who smiled encouragingly. I can pick her up after school, Mrs. Chen offered. You've accumulated so many favors watching my plants when I visit my daughter. The next few hours passed in a strange bubble of normalcy. Emma worked on her math homework, occasionally asking Nathaniel for help with problems. To Maya's surprise, he had an intuitive grasp of numbers, suggesting his mind retained skills, even if memories remained locked away. 7 times 8, he mused, helping Emma. I know this. It's like muscle memory, but for math. Maybe you're a math teacher, Emma suggested brightly. Maya, who had been watching them, caught a flash of something in Nathaniel's expression, a brief furrowing of his brow that suggested this didn't feel quite right. A doctor arrived for afternoon rounds, bringing news that made Maya's stomach clench. Your tests look good, Mr. Cole. We'd like to keep you one more night for observation, but you should be able to leave tomorrow. Do you have someone who can stay with you? With your condition, you shouldn't be alone. Nathaniel looked lost. I don't know anyone here. And Seattle? He trailed off, the weight of his isolation visible in his shoulders. I can help, Maya heard herself say, immediately wondering what possessed her to offer. I mean, temporarily, until we contact your family or friends. Both Nathaniel and the doctor looked at her with surprise and relief. Emma beamed, already excited by the prospect of a new friend staying near them. That's very kind, the doctor said. We'll need to run a few more cognitive tests before discharge, but having support will definitely help with recovery. After the doctor left, Nathaniel turned to Maya. You don't have to do this, you've already done so much. It's fine, Maya cut him off, her mind racing ahead to practical concerns. Our apartment is small, but the couch pulls out. It would only be until we figure out more about your life in Seattle. As she spoke, her phone buzzed with a news alert. Her blood froze as she read the headline. Tech mogul Nathaniel Cole missing after Vancouver business trip. The article showed a photo of him at a corporate event, confident, commanding every inch the man who had sneered at her in the restaurant. The man who now sat in a hospital bed, smiling gently at her little sister. Maya quickly closed the article, her heart pounding. She had just offered her home to one of the wealthiest men in Seattle, a man who had no idea of their true connection. As Emma chattered happily about showing Nathaniel their neighborhood, Maya wondered how long she could keep the truth hidden, and what would happen when his memories inevitably returned. Outside the hospital window, Vancouver's skyline stretched toward the clouds, indifferent to the small drama unfolding in this room. Maya watched a seabird soar past, free and unburdened, while she felt the weight of her choices settling around her shoulders like a heavy cloak. The key stuck in the lock, as it always did during humid weather. Maya jiggled it with practiced ease while balancing a paper bag of Nathaniel's prescription medications in her other arm. Behind her, Nathaniel stood uncertainly in the narrow hallway of her apartment building, still wearing hospital-issued sweats and a borrowed jacket. "Sorry about this," Maya said, finally pushing the door open. "It's not much, but it's home." She watched his face as he took in the small living room with its worn but clean furniture, the tiny kitchen visible through an archway, and the wall covered in Emma's school artwork. Something about his expression made her add defensively, "We keep it tidy." "No, it's—" Nathaniel stepped inside, his eyes moving from a hand-drawn family portrait by Emma to the carefully mended curtains. "It feels lived in. Real." He touched a blanket draped over the couch. Everything in the hospital was so sterile. Emma burst out of her room, already changed from her school uniform. "I made space in the bathroom cabinet for your things. Maya said we need to help you feel at home." Maya watched Nathaniel's face soften as it did whenever Emma was around. "That's very thoughtful of you, though I don't actually have many things at the moment." It was true. Besides the medications and some basic toiletries from the hospital gift shop, Nathaniel had nothing. His expensive clothes from the accident had been ruined, and his phone was somewhere in the wreckage of his car. "We can get you some clothes tomorrow," Maya said, setting down the prescriptions. "For now, I think I have some old sweatpants that might fit. I still can't believe none of my people, I guess, have contacted the hospital." Nathaniel sank onto the couch, wincing slightly. "Shouldn't someone be looking for me?" Maya's stomach clenched. She thought of the news article, of the corporate empire probably scrambling to locate their missing CEO. But the hospital's calls had gone unanswered, and she'd decided not to volunteer information until she better understood the situation. "Maybe they don't know you're here," Emma suggested, dropping onto the couch beside him. "Like when Maya couldn't find me at the park because I'd followed a puppy to the other playground." "Emma," Maya interrupted, "homework time. Let Nathaniel rest." Once Emma had retreated to her room, Maya busied herself making tea, grateful for the distraction. Through the kitchen archway, she could see Nathaniel examining a photo on the side table. Maya and Emma at the beach last summer, both laughing at something off camera. "It's just the two of you?" he asked when she brought him a mug. Maya nodded, settling into the armchair across from him. "Our parents died in a car accident when Emma was 2, I was 19. "I'm so sorry." The genuine empathy in his voice made her look away. "That must have been incredibly difficult." "We managed." Maya sipped her tea, remembering the man who had sneered at her competence in the restaurant. "Sometimes managing is all you can do." A comfortable silence fell between them, broken only by the sound of Emma humming in her room and the distant traffic below. Maya found herself studying Nathaniel's profile, trying to reconcile this thoughtful man with the arrogant businessman she'd first met. "I keep getting these flashes," he said suddenly. "Not memories exactly, but feelings. Like when I helped Emma with her math, it felt natural, but other things feel wrong." He gestured at the apartment. "I should be uncomfortable here, shouldn't I, in this small space? But instead it feels safe," Maya suggested, then immediately regretted it when his eyes met hers. "Yes," he said softly. "Safe." The moment stretched between them until Maya stood abruptly. "I should start dinner. The doctor said routine activities might help trigger memories." In the kitchen, she aggressively chopped vegetables, trying to quiet her conflicted thoughts. The sound of Emma's voice drifted in. She was showing Nathaniel her science project, explaining about photosynthesis with all the authority of a fourth grader. "See the plants take in light and turn it into food," Emma was saying. "Like magic, but with science." "That's fascinating," Nathaniel replied, and Maya could hear the smile in his voice. "You know, I think I remember something about business, being like that too, taking one thing and transforming it into something else." Maya's hand stilled on the knife. Was his memory starting to return? But Nathaniel continued talking with Emma about her project, showing no sign of recognition beyond that small flash. Dinner was a simple affair: stir-fried vegetables with rice and the last of Maya's emergency chicken from the freezer. She watched Nathaniel take his first bite, irrationally nervous about feeding a man who probably dined at five-star restaurants. "This is incredible," he said with such genuine appreciation that Maya felt her cheeks warm. "Maya's the best cook," Emma declared loyally. "She can make anything taste good even when we only have weird ingredients left." Nathaniel looked up sharply. "Do you often run low on food?" "No," Maya said quickly, shooting Emma a look. "We do fine. Emma, tell Nathaniel about your spelling test today." Later, after Emma was in bed, Maya made up the couch with sheets and spare blankets. Nathaniel stood by the window, looking out at the city lights. "Thank you," he said without turning around. "Not just for this, but for everything. I keep thinking about what would have happened if you hadn't found me on that road." Maya's hands stilled on the blanket. "Anyone would have helped." "No," he said, turning to face her. "They wouldn't. Other cars passed by, remember? You stayed. You're still staying." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that reminded her painfully of his other self. "I just wish I understood why I feel like I don't deserve this kindness." Maya couldn't meet his eyes. "It's late. You should rest. Doctor's orders." But as she lay in bed that night, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of another person moving quietly through her apartment, Maya wondered how long she could maintain this delicate balance. Every kind word from him, every gentle interaction with Emma made it harder to remember why she was supposed to guard her heart. In the darkness, a siren wailed in the distance, and Maya heard the soft creak of the couch as Nathaniel shifted. Two strangers sharing a space, each carrying secrets, his locked away by injury, hers by choice. She wondered which would prove more dangerous when finally revealed. A week into their unusual living arrangement, Maya woke to the smell of coffee and quiet laughter from the kitchen. She lay still for a moment, listening to the domestic sounds that had become strangely familiar. Emma's morning chatter, the clink of spoons, Nathaniel's low, warm voice explaining something about fractions. "So if you think of the pizza as 8 slices," he was saying, "and you eat 3, that's 3/8. See how it's like a story with numbers?" "You make math sound fun," Emma replied. "Maya tries, but she says numbers make her head hurt." Maya smiled despite herself, remembering their struggles over last year's math homework. She'd been ready to hire a tutor, even though their budget couldn't handle it when Nathaniel had appeared in their lives. The smile faded as she checked her phone. Another news article about Nathaniel Cole's disappearance had popped up. Tech giants board calls emergency meeting amid CEO's mysterious absence. The photo showed a gleaming corporate headquarters in Seattle, all glass and steel, worlds away from her small apartment with its second-hand furniture. Maya pulled on her robe and headed to the kitchen, where she found Emma and Nathaniel bent over her math workbook. A plate of slightly burnt toast sat between them. "We made breakfast," Emma announced proudly. "Nathaniel said we should let you sleep since you worked late." "I hope that's okay," Nathaniel added, looking uncertain. "The toast is a bit, well, we're better at math than cooking." Maya poured herself coffee, using the moment to compose herself. The sight of them together, comfortable and domestic, made her chest ache. "It's perfect," she said. "But Emma, you'll be late if you don't start getting ready." After Emma dashed off to change, Nathaniel cleared the dishes, moving through the kitchen with newfound familiarity. "I had another dream last night," he said casually. I was in an office high up in a building. People were waiting for me to make a decision about something important. Maya's hands tightened around her coffee. First, did you recognize anything specific? No, it was all foggy. But the feeling was clear. Pressure, responsibility. He turned to face her, leaning against the counter. I must have had an important job, right? Someone with authority? Before Maya could respond, Emma rushed back in, struggling with her backpack. Maya, I need $10 for the field trip today. Field trip? Maya set down her coffee. What field trip? To the Science Museum. I told you last week Mrs. Wilson said we have to bring the permission slip and money today. Maya's stomach sank. With her irregular work hours and Nathaniel's arrival, she'd completely forgotten. She thought of her wallet containing exactly $8 that needed to last until payday. Emma, I'm so sorry. I forgot to budget for... I can help, Nathaniel interrupted, then hesitated when they both looked at him. I mean, I should contribute something, staying here. Please, let me do this. You don't have any money, Emma pointed out. Your wallet was lost in the accident. Nathaniel ran a hand through his hair in frustration. Right. I forgot. He looked so genuinely distressed that Maya found herself reaching for her phone. I'll text Lily and see if I can pick up an extra shift tonight, she said. Emma, go get the permission slip. Maybe Mrs. Wilson will let us bring the money tomorrow. Actually, Nathaniel said slowly, I had an idea this morning. I could help out at the restaurant. I notice you're always short-staffed and I need something to do besides sit here all day. Maya stared at him. The image of Nathaniel Cole, tech mogul worth millions, buzzing tables at the harbor room was almost comical. But this Nathaniel looked at her with earnest determination, and she realized he had no idea of the irony. I'll ask my manager, she found herself saying, but you're still recovering. The doctor said normal activities would be good for me, and I want to contribute, not just take up space in your home. Later, after dropping Emma at school, with $10 borrowed from Mrs. Chen, Maya walked with Nathaniel to the restaurant. She'd called ahead and her manager had agreed to meet him. Good help was hard to find, especially for the morning shift. Remember, Maya said as they approached the familiar storefront, just be humble and eager to learn, Nathaniel finished. Though it feels like I've done this before somehow. Maya bit her lip, remembering his previous visit to the restaurant. But that man was gone, replaced by someone who held the door for her, and smiled nervously at the hostess. The interview went surprisingly well. Nathaniel answered questions naturally, showing an intuitive understanding of customer service that Maya hadn't expected. Her manager seemed impressed, especially when Nathaniel explained that he was staying with Maya and could start immediately. We'll try you out as a busser, her manager said. Maya can show you the ropes during her shift today. Outside afterward, Nathaniel grinned at her. See? Things are looking up. Now you won't have to work extra shifts and I can start paying you back for everything. Maya watched him practically bounce down the sidewalk, his enthusiasm infectious. She should tell him the truth, she knew. Should show him the articles about his company, his real life. But seeing him so proud of landing this simple job, so eager to help her family, made the words stick in her throat. The morning sun caught his profile as he turned back to her, and for a moment Maya saw him clearly, not as the cruel businessman or the lost accident victim, but as someone new, someone becoming more real to her with each passing day. Maya? He'd noticed her staring. Everything okay? Everything's fine, she lied, hurrying to catch up with him. Above them, a massive billboard advertised the latest tech innovation from Cole Industries. But Nathaniel didn't even glance at it. His world had shrunk to the size of their small apartment, a struggling restaurant, and a little girl's math homework. Maya wondered how long it could last, this fragile piece they'd built on half-truths and hidden headlines. In her pocket, her phone buzzed with another news alert about the missing CEO, but she didn't check it. For now, she wanted to preserve this moment. Walking down a sunny street with a man who was both stranger and friend, his future as uncertain as her own. Nathaniel's first day at the harbor room started smoothly enough. Maya watched him stack Plates with careful precision, his movements deliberate as he learned the rhythm of restaurant work. He'd rolled up the sleeves of his borrowed shirt, one of the few items they'd picked up at a thrift store, and thrown himself into the task with surprising enthusiasm. "You're a natural," Lily commented during a quiet moment, nudging Maya. "Hard to believe your friends never worked in a restaurant before." Maya forced a smile, remembering all too well his previous visit as a customer. "He's full of surprises." The lunch rush hit hard, as it always did. Maya fell into her usual routine, weaving between tables with practiced ease. She kept one eye on Nathaniel, expecting him to struggle with the pace, but he adapted quickly. There was something almost graceful about the way he navigated the crowded space, as if some part of him remembered how to command a room. "Table 12 needs clearing," Maya called out, passing him with a full tray. "On it," he responded, and the simple exchange felt so normal it made her chest tighten. The afternoon lull brought a different kind of challenge. A group of business executives claimed the corner booth, the same one where Nathaniel had sat that fateful night. Maya's stomach dropped when she recognized one of them from a photo in the news articles about Nathaniel's disappearance. "I'll take that table," she told Lily quickly, but her co-worker was already heading there with menus. Maya watched anxiously as Nathaniel approached the table to fill water glasses. The executive, Richard Preston, she remembered from the article, Coal Industries' chief financial officer, barely glanced at him, too engrossed in his phone conversation. "The board's getting restless," Preston was saying. 2 weeks without contact. No, we've tried every hospital in Vancouver." "Well, find him, damn it. The merger's falling apart without—" Nathaniel paused slightly while pouring water, his brow furrowing. Maya held her breath, but he moved on to the next table without any sign of recognition. Preston never looked up from his phone. Later, during their break, they sat in the small employee area behind the kitchen. Nathaniel rubbed his temples, a gesture Maya had come to recognize as a sign of his struggling memory. "Headache?" she asked, offering him some aspirin. "Something that customer said bothered me. About a merger?" He accepted the pills with a grateful smile. "It triggered something, but I can't quite grasp it." Maya's heart raced. "Maybe from a movie? Or something you overheard?" "Maybe." He closed his eyes. "Sometimes I feel like I'm trying to remember a dream. The harder I try, the more it slips away." Before Maya could respond, Emma burst through the back door, her face alight with excitement. Mrs. Chen followed more slowly, apologizing. "She insisted on coming here after school," Mrs. Chen explained. "Something about a science project." "Nathaniel!" Emma ran to him, pulling papers from her backpack. "I got an A. The teacher said my explanation of photosynthesis was the best in class. It's because you helped me understand it better." Maya watched Nathaniel's face transform as he examined Emma's project, all traces of his earlier confusion gone. He high-fived her, earning a delighted giggle. "This is brilliant work," he said seriously. "You really grasped the concept of energy transformation. That's a complex idea for someone your age." "See?" Emma turned to Maya triumphantly. "I told you he's a good teacher. Can he help me with my history project too?" The simple domesticity of the moment struck Maya hard. Here was one of the most powerful men in the tech industry, sitting in a cramped break room, genuinely excited about a fourth grader's science project. The man who had once dismissed her as incompetent now wore a borrowed uniform and celebrated her sister's achievements as if they were his own. "Of course I'll help," Nathaniel was saying. "Maybe we can start after dinner. I'm learning to cook too. Well, trying to at least." Maya remembered the morning's burnt toast and laughed. "Maybe stick to math tutoring for now." Their eyes met over Emma's head, and something warm and dangerous unfurled in Maya's chest. Nathaniel's smile softened, becoming something private, just for her. The moment shattered when Preston's voice carried from the dining room. "Keep searching. The private hospitals, someone must have seen him." Nathaniel's expression clouded again. "That voice, it's familiar somehow. We should get back to work," Maya said quickly. "Emma, homework first, then project planning, okay?" After her shift, Maya checked her phone to find more news alerts. The headlines were becoming more urgent. Coal industries stock plummets. Amid CEO's continued absence and mystery deepens, tech billionaire's disappearance raises questions. She looked up to find Nathaniel watching her. "Bad news?" he asked. "No, just checking the weather." She pocketed the phone quickly. "Ready to head home?" As they walked, Maya noticed how naturally they'd fallen into step together. Nathaniel carried Emma's backpack while the little girl skipped ahead, chattering about her plans for the history project. The setting sun painted Vancouver's buildings in shades of gold and pink, transforming the familiar street into something almost magical. "Thank you," Nathaniel said suddenly, "for giving me a chance, for helping me build some kind of life while I figure out who I am." Maya's throat tightened, the truth pressed against her lips, about his real identity, about Preston's presence, about the empire crumbling in his absence. Instead, she said, "You're doing the same for us." It wasn't a lie, not exactly. This version of Nathaniel had brought something unexpected into their lives, not just help with bills or homework, but a kind of completeness Maya hadn't realized they were missing. Above them, a digital billboard flashed news headlines, including one about the missing CEO. But Nathaniel's attention was on Emma, who was demonstrating her newly perfected cartwheel on the sidewalk. Maya watched them both, wondering if real love was about accepting people for who they were, or for who they could become. The answer, she was beginning to fear, might break all their hearts. The nightmare came without warning. Maya woke to the sound of Nathaniel's shouts from the living room, sharp and desperate in the darkness. She found him tangled in the couch, blankets, his face contorted in distress. "No, the projections are wrong. Everything will collapse." "Nathaniel," Maya touched his shoulder gently. "Wake up, you're dreaming." His eyes snapped open, wild and unfocused. For a moment he stared at her without recognition, and Maya's heart stopped. Had his memory returned? But then his gaze cleared, and he was her Nathaniel again, the kind, gentle version who had become part of their lives. "Maya?" He sat up, running shaking hands through his hair. "I'm sorry. Did I wake everyone?" "Emma sleeps like a rock," Maya assured him, perching on the edge of the couch. "Want to talk about it?" Nathaniel's brow furrowed in concentration. "I was in a meeting room high above the city. People were angry, shouting about numbers, about trust being broken." He looked at her desperately. "It felt so real, Maya. Like I was watching my own life through a foggy window." Maya's throat tightened. She should tell him now, while his subconscious was already pushing through the amnesia. Instead, she heard herself ask, "Do you want some tea?" In the kitchen, Maya's hands trembled as she filled the kettle. 2 weeks had passed since Nathaniel started working at the restaurant, since he'd become an integral part of their small family. Every day made the truth harder to tell. "Here." She handed him a mug of chamomile tea, settling beside him on the couch. The digital clock on the cable box read 3:17 a.m. "I keep having these flashes," Nathaniel said quietly. "Today at work, when I was calculating the bill splits, the numbers just flowed. Like my mind knows things my memory doesn't." He turned to face her in the dim light. "Who am I, Maya? Sometimes I'm afraid to find out." The vulnerability in his voice made her chest ache. "You're someone who helps Emma with her homework," she said softly. "Who makes terrible toast but perfect coffee. Who notices when elderly customers need extra help with their chairs. But what if that's not really me?" His fingers tightened around the mug. "What if I remember and become someone else? Someone you don't—" He trailed off, but the unspoken word hung between them. "Someone you don't love." Maya's heart thundered in her ears. When had that happened? When had this man, this version of Nathaniel, become so essential to her happiness? "I should go back to bed," she said, standing abruptly, but Nathaniel caught her hand. "Stay," he whispered. "Please, just talk to me." Maya hesitated, then sank back onto the couch. Nathaniel didn't release her hand, his thumb tracing gentle circles on her palm. The simple touch sent electricity through her nerves. "Tell me about Emma," he suggested, "about when you first became her guardian." Maya leaned back, letting the familiar story flow. "I was in college when our parents died. Everyone said I should put her in foster care, finish my degree. But she was so small, so scared. The first night in our tiny apartment, she wouldn't sleep unless I sang to her." "What did you sing?" "You Are My Sunshine." Mom's favorite. Maya smiled at the memory. "I barely knew what I was doing. We ate a lot of boxed mac and cheese that first year." "But you did it," Nathaniel said softly. "You gave up everything to keep her safe." "Not everything. I gained something too." Maya turned to find him watching her intently. "I learned that family isn't about perfect circumstances. It's about choosing each other every day." The weight of her own words hit her. Here she was, talking about choice and truth while hiding such a massive secret. "Maya." Nathaniel's voice had dropped to a whisper. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I may not remember my past, but I know that meeting you, it changed something fundamental in me." Time seemed to stop. They were close, enough that Maya could see the flecks of gold in his eyes, could feel the warmth of his breath. Everything in her screamed to pull away, to protect herself from the inevitable heartbreak when his memories returned. Instead, she leaned forward and kissed him. The world narrowed to this moment. The softness of his lips, the subtle taste of chamomile, the way his hand cradled her face like she was something precious. When they finally broke apart, Maya felt tears on her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered, not sure if she was apologizing for the kiss or for her deception. "Don't be." Nathaniel pressed his forehead to hers. "Whatever I discover about my past, this feels right. You and Emma, you feel like home." Maya closed her eyes, letting herself believe it just for this moment. Outside, the city slept under a blanket of stars, unaware of the drama unfolding in this small apartment. Tomorrow would bring more complications, more chances for discovery. Preston and the board were still searching, the news articles were getting more frequent, and Nathaniel's memories were clearly fighting to surface. But tonight, in the gentle darkness of her living room, Maya allowed herself to fall. She curled into Nathaniel's embrace, her head resting on his chest where she could hear his heartbeat, strong and steady, like his presence in her life had become. They stayed that way until dawn began to paint the sky, neither sleeping nor speaking, just existing in this fragile space between truth and dreams. Maya knew that each sunrise brought them closer to the inevitable revelation. But for now, she held on to this version of happiness with both hands. As the first rays of morning light filtered through the windows, Emma's alarm clock began to chime. Another day was beginning, another act in their complex dance of love and secrets. Maya felt Nathaniel press a kiss to her hair before they reluctantly separated, each moving to their morning routines as if nothing had changed. But everything had changed, and Maya knew that time was running out to control how the truth would emerge. The morning after their kiss, everything at the harbor room felt different. Maya caught Nathaniel watching her during quiet moments, his smile holding a new warmth that made her pulse quicken. They moved around each other with heightened awareness, each casual touch now charged with meaning. "You're glowing," Lily whispered during their morning prep. "Something happened with your house guest, didn't it?" Before Maya could respond, the front door chimed. Her denial died in her throat as she saw who entered. Richard Preston again, this time accompanied by a sharp-featured woman in an expensive suit. Maya recognized her from the news articles. Victoria Chen, Coal Industries head of legal affairs. "I'll take their table," Maya said quickly, but Lily was already greeting them. "He's been seen in this area," Preston was saying as they sat down. "The hospital confirmed he was admitted after an accident, but the trail goes cold after his release." Maya's hands shook as she arranged clean glasses on her tray. Across the restaurant, Nathaniel was clearing tables, completely unaware of the danger. She needed to get him away before someone recognized him. The board's patience is wearing thin, Victoria said, her voice carrying clearly. Without Nathaniel's signature, the merger will collapse by end of month. Billions in shareholder value gone. Nathaniel paused in his work, that familiar furrow appearing between his brows. Maya watched in horror as he tilted his head, listening. "Nathaniel," she called out, perhaps too loudly. "Could you help me in the kitchen?" He looked up, starting to move toward her, when Preston's next words froze them both. "We should have seen this coming after what happened with Rachel." Nathaniel stumbled, a water glass slipping from his hands and shattering on the floor. The crash drew every eye in the restaurant, including Preston and Victoria's. Maya held her breath, but they merely glanced at the commotion before returning to their conversation. In the kitchen, Nathaniel leaned heavily against a counter, his face pale. "Rachel," he whispered. I know that name." Maya touched his arm gently. "Maybe you should take a break. You're not looking well." "No, I need to." He pressed his fingers to his temples. "It's like a door trying to open in my mind. Rachel, she betrayed Nathaniel." Maya gripped his shoulders, forcing him to look at her. "Focus on my voice. Stay with me." His eyes cleared slightly, but she could see the confusion lingering. "I'm okay," he said. "Just a headache." Maya sent him to the break room, then returned to the dining area with her heart in her throat. Preston and Victoria were still there, now spreading documents across their table. "The Seattle office is in chaos," Victoria was saying. "His assistant claims he was acting strangely before he left for Vancouver. Distracted, angry about something." "The Rachel situation hit him hard," Preston replied. "Finding out your fiancé was just using you for insider trading and, well, it would break any man." Maya nearly dropped her tray. Fiancé? None of the news articles had mentioned that. She thought of Nathaniel's nightmare, his fear of discovering his true self. How much pain was locked away in his missing memories. The rest of her shift passed in a blur of anxiety. Every time the door opened, she feared it would be more people from Nathaniel's past. Every time she glanced at him, she saw the strain around his eyes, the way he kept stopping to massage his temples. Finally, Preston and Victoria left, but their presence had shattered Maya's sense of security. She found Nathaniel in the break room, staring at his reflection in the small mirror. "Sometimes," he said without turning, "I look at myself and expect to see someone else. Isn't that strange?" Maya's chest tightened. "Nathaniel." "I had another flash while those customers were talking." He turned to face her. "A boardroom, people arguing about money, a woman crying. Rachel, I think." His eyes met Maya's. "Why does it feel like I was someone important? Someone with power?" Before Maya could respond, Emma burst through the back door, her face streaked with tears. "Emma?" Maya rushed to her sister. "What's wrong? Why aren't you in school?" "It's Mrs. Chen," Emma sobbed. "She collapsed while walking me home for lunch. The ambulance came and everything." "What?" Maya's world tilted. Mrs. Chen was their rock, the closest thing to family they had left. "Which hospital did they take her to?" "Vancouver General. She was asking for you." Maya looked desperately at her half-finished shift, then at Nathaniel. He was already removing his apron. "Go," he said. "I'll explain to management and meet you there." At the hospital, they found Mrs. Chen in the emergency room, looking small and frail under the harsh lights. The doctor's words hit Maya like physical blows. Heart attack, immediate surgery, significant costs even with insurance. "We can help with some services," the hospital administrator said, "but the specialist she needs—" "I'll cover it," Nathaniel said suddenly. Maya turned to him in shock. "What? How?" He faltered. "I don't know. I just feel like I can. Like I should be able to." His frustration was visible. "Why can't I remember?" Emma clutched Maya's hand. "Is Mrs. Chen going to be okay?" Maya pulled her sister close, feeling the weight of impossible choices. Mrs. Chen needed help immediately. Every moment they delayed could affect her chances. And here was Nathaniel, unknowingly offering access to the fortune he didn't remember he had. Maya. Nathaniel's voice was soft but urgent. Those people at the restaurant today, they knew me, didn't they? You've been protecting me from something. Maya looked into his eyes, seeing trust and love that she might be about to destroy. But Mrs. Chen's monitor beeped steadily in the background, a reminder that sometimes the truth couldn't wait. Yes, she whispered. There's something I need to tell you. About who you really are. The fluorescent lights hummed above them as Maya prepared to change everything. In her mind, she saw the past weeks unraveling, the quiet mornings, the shared laughter, the kiss that still lingered on her lips. But Mrs. Chen needed help, and Maya had run out of time to protect both the man she loved and the truth she'd hidden. Outside the hospital windows, Vancouver's skyline stretched toward a darkening sky, indifferent to the drama unfolding within its walls. Maya took a deep breath, gathering her courage as Nathaniel waited for words that would either save or destroy them. The hospital's family consultation room felt too small for the weight of Maya's confession. Emma had fallen asleep on the worn couch, emotionally exhausted from worrying about Mrs. Chen, while Nathaniel sat perfectly still, processing everything Maya had just told him. A tech CEO, he said finally, his voice hollow. Worth billions. And you knew? This whole time? Maya nodded, unable to meet his eyes. Since the first day in the hospital, there were news articles about your disappearance. The restaurant. His words came faster now, memories beginning to surface. That night before the accident, I was cruel to you. Nathaniel. Don't. He stood abruptly, pacing the small room. I remember. Not everything, but enough. The merger. Rachel's betrayal. I was angry, taking it out on everyone around me. He stopped, running his hands through his hair. God, the things I said to you that night. You're not that person anymore, Maya said softly. Aren't I? His laugh was bitter. Maybe this whole thing, the humble busboy, the math tutor, the man you... He broke off, pain flashing across his face. Maybe it was all just temporary insanity from the head injury. I don't believe that. Maya stood reaching for him, but he stepped back. Why did you keep this from me all these weeks, watching me fumble around like some charity case? That's not fair. Maya's voice cracked. You know it wasn't like that. A knock interrupted them. The doctor entered, holding Mrs. Chen's charts. The specialist is ready, she said, but we'll need to discuss payment arrangements before proceeding. Maya watched the conflict play across Nathaniel's face. He was already reaching for his phone. I'll call Preston, he said. He can arrange everything. You remember his number? Yes. No, it's... Nathaniel pressed his fingers to his temples. It's all coming back in pieces, the company, the board meetings, the pressure. He looked at Maya. Why didn't you just tell them where I was? The company was falling apart. Because I was protecting you. Maya glanced at Emma, still sleeping peacefully. Or maybe I was protecting us. The way you were with Emma, with me. It felt real. It was real. Nathaniel's voice softened. That's what terrifies me. Before Maya could respond, the door opened again. Victoria Chen stood there, her designer suit incongruous in the humble hospital corridor. Thank God, she said, spotting Nathaniel. Preston's been monitoring local hospitals for any sign of you. When we saw the insurance inquiry for a Mrs. Chen, she paused, taking in his casual clothes and Maya's presence. What happened to you? Nathaniel straightened, and Maya saw his mask slide into place, the confident CEO emerging from behind the gentle man she'd known. Victoria, call the board. Tell them I'm fine and we'll be back in Seattle tomorrow. Tomorrow, Nathaniel, the merger, is still salvageable. His voice carried the authority of command. Have legal prepare the necessary documents. And contact my private physician. I'll need him to review my medical records from the accident. Victoria nodded briskly, already typing on her phone. Your penthouse is ready. I'll have a car pick you up. No. Nathaniel's response was sharp. I have obligations here first. He turned to the doctor. Mrs. Chen's treatment, whatever she needs, I'll cover it. Have your billing department contact Cole Industries directly. The doctor hurried off, and Victoria excused herself to make calls. In the sudden quiet, Maya felt the weight of endings settling around them. Your life is waiting, she said softly. Maya, Nathaniel's voice caught. These past weeks, you showed me a different way to live, to be. But you have responsibilities, I understand. Emma stirred on the couch, blinking awake. Is Mrs. Chen okay? She will be, sweetheart. Maya managed to smile. Nathaniel's going to help make sure she gets the best care. Emma looked between them, sensing the tension. Are you leaving? The simple question seemed to pierce Nathaniel's professional armor. He knelt beside the couch, his voice gentle. I have to go away for a little while. There are people counting on me. But you'll come back, right? Emma's lower lip trembled. You promised to help with my history project. Maya watched Nathaniel struggle with the weight of promises, those made in innocence and those demanded by duty. Emma, Maya interrupted gently. Sometimes grown-ups have to. I'll come back, Nathaniel said suddenly. His eyes met Maya's, filled with determination. Not just for the history project, for everything. Victoria reappeared in the doorway. The car's ready. The board is expecting you first thing tomorrow. Nathaniel stood once again the powerful CEO, but when he looked at Maya, she saw both versions of him wrestling for control. I need time, he said quietly, to figure out who I really am, who I want to be. Maya nodded, fighting back tears. We'll be here. He reached out, brushing her cheek with his thumb, then quickly dropped his hand as Victoria cleared her throat. Thank you, he whispered, for showing me what really matters. Then he was gone, striding down the hospital corridor with Victoria, his bearing once again that of Nathaniel Cole, tech mogul and corporate leader. Maya watched until he disappeared around the corner, taking with him both the man she'd known and the one she'd feared he'd become. Emma slipped her hand into Maya's. He's different now, isn't he? Maya squeezed her sister's hand, thinking of quiet mornings over burnt toast, of laughter during homework sessions, of a kiss that had tasted of chamomile and truth. No, sweet girl, she said softly. He finally knows who he really is. We just have to wait and see what he chooses to do with that knowledge. Outside the hospital windows, the sun was setting over Vancouver, painting the sky in shades of possibility. Maya held her sister close, watching the lights come on across the city, each one a reminder that sometimes the biggest gifts come disguised as accidents, and the truest love is the kind that sets you free to find yourself. 1 month after Nathaniel's departure, Maya wiped down tables at the harbor room with mechanical precision. The morning rush had ended, leaving her alone with her thoughts, something she'd been trying to avoid lately. Emma's history project, the one Nathaniel had promised to help with, sat completed on their kitchen table at home. Mrs. Chen, recovering well from her surgery, had helped instead, sharing stories of her own family's immigration journey. Life had settled back into its familiar rhythms, as if those weeks with Nathaniel had been nothing more than a shared dream. The restaurant's door chimed. Maya turned, her practiced greeting dying on her lips as she saw Richard Preston standing there. Miss Carter? He approached, looking uncomfortable in the casual setting. I need to speak with you about Nathaniel Cole. Maya's heart clenched. Is he all right? He's... Preston paused, choosing his words carefully. He's making changes, significant ones. The board is concerned. Before Maya could respond, her phone buzzed with a news alert. She'd stopped checking them after Nathaniel left, but this headline caught her eye. Cole Industries CEO announces revolutionary new direction. Tech giant to focus on educational access and healthcare innovation. He's dismantling everything we built, Preston continued, his frustration evident. Redirecting resources to public benefit projects. establishing scholarship funds, launching healthcare initiatives for underserved communities. Sounds like he's building something better, Maya said softly. Preston ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so reminiscent of Nathaniel that it made her chest ache. He wants to open a Vancouver office, says he found something here worth investing in. He fixed Maya with a knowing look. He's not the same man who left for that business trip 2 months ago. No, Maya agreed. He's the man he always could have been. After Preston left, Maya's phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Turn on the news. She ducked into the break room, where the small TV was perpetually tuned to local news. Nathaniel's face filled the screen, standing at a podium in Seattle. He looked both familiar and different, wearing an expensive suit but with softness. In his eyes she recognized from their quiet mornings. My recent accident taught me something valuable, he was saying. Success isn't measured by market share or profit margins. It's measured by impact, by the lives we touch and the communities we serve. Maya watched, transfixed, as he outlined his new vision. Technology that served people rather than exploited them. Corporate power used to lift up rather than dominate. And so, he continued, I'm pleased to announce the opening of our new Vancouver headquarters, which will spearhead our educational technology initiatives. But more importantly, he paused, looking directly into the camera as if he knew she was watching. I'm coming home. The door chimed again. Maya hurried out, stopping short at the sight of Nathaniel himself standing in the entrance. He wore a simple button-down shirt and slacks, a perfect balance between the CEO he was and the man she'd known. Hi, he said simply. Maya gripped her serving tray like a shield. I saw your speech. I meant every word. He stepped closer. The board thinks I'm crazy throwing away our market advantage, but I remembered something during these weeks away, not just about who I was, but about who I want to be. And who is that? Someone worthy of a second chance. Someone who understands that real wealth isn't in bank accounts. His eyes held hers. Someone who knows that love isn't about power or control, but about choosing each other every day. Maya's breath caught at hearing her own words echoed back. Nathaniel. I remember everything now, he continued. Both the man I was and the man I became with you and Emma. And I choose this version. The one who makes terrible toast but perfect coffee. The one who helps with homework and notices when elderly customers need extra help. A noise from the kitchen made Maya glance back. Through the service window, she could see her co-workers poorly pretending not to watch. What about your life in Seattle? She asked. The company can be run from anywhere. The Vancouver office isn't just for show. I'm relocating here. His smile turned uncertain. That is, if you'll have me. You might have to start as a busboy again, Maya said, her own smile breaking through. Work your way up. I'm willing to earn it. He closed the distance between them. All of it. Every day. This time when they kissed, there were no secrets between them, no hidden identities or unspoken fears. Just two people who had found each other in the most unexpected way, choosing to build something real from the wreckage of chance. Later that evening, Maya sat on their small balcony, watching Emma excitedly show Nathaniel her completed history project. Mrs. Chen had joined them for dinner, her recovery progressing well thanks to the care she'd received. The setting sun painted Vancouver's skyline in familiar golds and pinks, but everything felt new, full of possibility. Maya, Emma called. Nathaniel says we can interview him for my next project. Did you know his grandfather was an immigrant too? Maya met Nathaniel's eyes over Emma's head, seeing in them the same joy she felt. The happiness of finding not just love, but family. A family built on choice and truth, on second chances and the courage to change. Tell us the story, she said, settling beside them. As Nathaniel began to speak, Maya thought about the night that had changed everything. The rain, the accident, the choice to help a stranger. She thought about how love sometimes arrives in disguise, teaching us that the biggest transformations often come not from forgetting who we are, but from finally remembering who we want to be. The stars began to appear above Vancouver, each on a testament to the possibility of light emerging from darkness. In their small apartment surrounded by the people she loved, Maya realized that sometimes the happiest endings aren't endings at all, but beautiful beginnings in disguise. If you woke up with no memory tomorrow and discovered that your current personality is completely different from the person you were before, which version of yourself would you choose to keep? The person you've built up over the years, with all your success and status, or this new version that perhaps represents who you should always have been? Leave your opinion in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below letting us know what you thought. Your feedback and support mean a lot to us. Stay tuned for more exciting stories.